And so I'm wondering, when you speak about familiar spirits or entities, are these the spirits or demons, or if it's accurate to call them fallen angels,
Yes.
that will present themselves as familiar persons, like
Yes.
grandma? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so when they do that to the psychic medium in that state is deceived that, hey, this really is this person's grandma. Okay.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I mean, I really believed I was helping people. I mean, these demons will cash in on your own, on things about you that are basically nice things, you know, wanting to help people, having compassion. I always struggled with death myself. I struggled with fear of death. I struggled with grief in a huge way, meaning I would, even if it was somebody that I didn't even know and they died, I would be the loudest crier in the wake or the funeral or whatever. Something about it. And the enemy presented this thing to me. You know, a lot of this I've seen in looking back now, you know, the revelations really God's given me about this, how he used even those things about me to make me think that this was a good thing. This was great. I was helping people. I was helping them with their grief, not to say bringing closure or anything like that, but more in like a healing way. So yeah, this is your son coming through. This is your mom. This is your spouse. This is whomever. And I'm crying with these people at the end of these sessions. And they seem that way. And that's why I always drive home 2 Corinthians 11:14-15, that Satan masquerades as an angel of light. And I remind people, if you've ever even seen those movies with masquerade parties, that's what these demons are doing. They're putting a mask on. It's not mom. It's not dad. It has to be convincing, though, and that's why they have to produce the information. They know mom's mom from 100 years ago, 200 years ago. They can produce the information. People get locked into the accuracy of information versus where it's coming from.
And this information is more so downloaded into your mind or brain as you're giving a reading, or are these familiar spirits, you can see them in front of you and they're, how does that work? I'm curious.
All different ways. It depends on how they want to do it. Mostly it was downloaded for me in a reading. And I would use automatic writing as well, meaning I just had a notebook and a pen with me on my lap. And so as I was channeling, I was also channeling through the paper and pen. So I would start drawing these symbols, writing names, things like that. That's automatic writing, is when you are still in your meditative trance-like state, like, hey, demons come in, I'm going to be over here, letting them, not to say, let them feed you information. Okay. So I would be doing that, automatically writing while I was channeling. So sometimes it was a combination of that, or I saw the familiar spirit over there. They were bringing things to my mind, smells, and that was mom's perfume, things that would be familiar to me. They would use your senses, seeing things, hearing things, smelling things, like I said. So just different ways. Yeah.
It's so interesting. Let me ask this, and then Sam, I know you got a question to ask. It's just such an interesting topic. There's so many, it's like a ripple effect of questions based on what you say. And so, as you know, you're familiar, and I'm sure those in the audience are familiar with some of these, I don't know, superstar Hollywood psychics, where they go into like a big congregation or a big group of people. And I've heard some skeptics say, oh, there's nothing real or legit about what's going on with these psychic mediums. They're doing what's called cold reading, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, how do we differentiate between the psychic mediums that are simply just cold reading, and maybe if you could speak to what that is a little bit, and those that actually are able to talk with these familiar spirits and demons and have this information, Jen?
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up, because I mentioned the word charlatan before, charlatans and hucksters. There's always going to be hucksters amongst the various groups of people, right? Jobs and, things like that. People that want to just make a buck. I think of Simon the Sorcerer really with that, right? But cold reading is when you're looking for cues. So you're not really receiving any psychic information. you're looking for cues. Does the person have a wedding ring on? Or like you mentioned in the big groups, right? Does that person look sad? How are they reacting to things? If I just throw out somebody with the letter S, did they cold reading is basically you just trying to read cues, not anything I ever did, not anything I ever had to do, because I was so plagued by demons, obviously, really receiving information. How do you know the difference? Well, I can't tell you at this point that people can't do both at the same time. Right. Even pretending to be a diviner, now you've already invoked those demons. So I would not be surprised if you get something and then you could call it a hit, right? That you get a hit. Yeah, that was, and maybe that person would even be surprised because they're a charlatan. So they're like, wait, what? So I can't say that, but I would say how you know is that the entire reading, okay, for example, when I did readings, I always had a spiel in the beginning of the reading, kind of like an introduction as to what was going to take place. And I always said, do not tell me anything. You can say yes, you can say no if I ask you to validate something. But don't sit there with this long, oh yeah, that was my mom, and then she did this, and no, don't do any of that. It's about them telling you, not you telling. Of course, I didn't think it was them telling me, but not you telling them. Let them tell us. Let them speak, and then I would take their questions at the end. And then when they had the questions, then because now it was already established that this is whomever was coming through in the reading, and then the demon masquerading would answer the questions. So I would say that that's how you would know the difference. There would not be any of me like looking around like there's somebody with an M in the room, right. Somebody's father died. Mm-hmm. Somebody's father, stepfather. I actually had made a video. I just saw it the other day. There's somebody, if they were like a father to you, whatever. Mm-hmm. And you'll see that people will when they start with that.
Well, I watched recently a video response. I really enjoyed it. A video response you did to one of these well-known psychic mediums.
I know what you.
Yeah, right. And I thought that was great because a lot of what you're saying you discussed with your friend in that video. Yeah. All of these different cold reading tricks. And so, but I agree with you. I think it's interesting that it can be a mix of both, where somebody gets a hit and then they go with it. And even at that moment, they might be surprised.
Yes.
And then at that point, they got something to work with. And so I guess I'm wondering, when it comes to the information that's downloaded, especially from the skeptic's point of view, how else could this be explained, if not supernaturally? Because you've discussed in many videos, also in your books, this information that comes in, that how could you know? How could anybody know this information that has come in? And I'm wondering if you could speak to maybe a couple of those incidents that might have happened, where it's just completely flabbergasting at this information that was downloaded, Jenn.
Yeah. Oh gosh. There are so many cases, honestly. So I mentioned one a little bit earlier about when I was getting the ultrasound, and that was not even an appointment. That was, an appointment for a reading. That was me just receiving that information and asking, hey, can I, I'm a psychic medium. Can I share something with you? Something is coming through, whatever. And of course, everybody always said yes. And so we had that time. I had a woman come for a reading who turned out her husband was cheating on her. And now, again, remember, she's sitting there silent, and that's where you have to think to yourself, everybody's husband is not cheating on them.
Right.
So why would you think, that would be some, oh yeah, anybody could say that, no. Well, this is how we know. This is what the people look like. This is where he works. This is who he's having the affair with. And what was interesting was that that's just me talking at that point, right? So that's me talking, sharing this information. A lot of that she had already known, and it was confirmation for her. So there's your validation. So now what? What did they want to do to this woman? What did they want to do to this, with this situation, with this, through this reading? And it was that later, and I actually wrote about this in my book, that night, she actually ended up calling me. Long story short, which I would never usually take calls. I was watching American Idol with my daughter. She was like 3 at the time. I don't remember how she, don't. I'm 47. I don't know. It was a long time ago. So I'm doing that. Basically, office closed, but I answered the phone that night, and she called me and she asked me to channel the woman's address where the woman lived who was cheating with her. What was she going to do with that information? Right? You think about it, and then you go back to the agenda of the evil one to steal, kill, and destroy. That's his mission, right? Oh gosh, so many. So I did so many readings, Donnie. It's oh gosh,
fascinating.
Yeah, it was just, oh gosh, even my own family. I even read my own family, and I would think that would make the skeptic really want to punch me in the face right now. Like, it would be like, you're okay. You read your family, you know your family, oh no, this was very deliberate information, things that I did not know, things that I had to go to my parents and ask them, and, going down in the lineage, the great grandparents and this person and that person. And, it was just mind blowing. And even, of course, unfortunately, the predictions and things like that. I used to do automatic writings for my sister, and she used to save them. I actually almost interviewed her about that because I'm writing my third book, because she saved them for a long time. And she was just like, wow, it was crazy the amount of information that came out in those things. I used to do them for myself as well. I used to do automatic writings for myself. And then, of course, and then tuck them away. And the things that happened, the things that were said, the information that was given was mind blowing.
That's amazing.